Welcome to episode 2 of Rewind, a closer look. Today we're looking into 1994's sci-fi action thriller, No Escape, starring Ray Liotta. That's right, Ray freaking Liotta, best known for playing mobsters and guys who are one bad day away from losing it, is now trapped on a futuristic prison island. This movie is part Escape from New York, part Lord of the Flies, with just a sprinkle of Mad Max for flavor. So what happens when you take a high-tech prison, remove all the guards, dump the worst criminals on an island and tell them, good luck? Well, absolute chaos. Let's get into it. The year is 2022, which is kind of hilarious because, in real life, the biggest thing people escaped from in 2022 was Zoom meetings. But in this version of 2022, crime is so out of control that traditional prisons just aren't cutting it anymore. So instead of normal incarceration, the government, run by a lovely for-profit corporation, decides to just dump the worst criminals onto an uninhabited island and let them fight it out. And honestly, that's probably cheaper than the prison system we have now. Enter our hero, Captain J.T. Robbins, played by Ray Liotta. He's a highly trained soldier, but also kind of a wild card. What did he do to deserve this? Oh, nothing major, just murdered his commanding officer. But don't worry, it was totally justified. His superior officer ordered the slaughter of innocent civilians, so Robbins pulled the instant karma card and shot him. Sounds fair, right? Well, apparently the military disagreed, because Robbins gets sentenced to the Absalom penal colony, a floating fortress that makes Alcatraz look like a luxury cruise. Now, Robbins isn't exactly the go-with-the-flow type. Within minutes of arriving, he's already causing trouble, refusing to listen to the sadistic warden, played by Michael Lerner, who looks like he loves ruining people's lives, and straight up stealing a gun from the guards. But the warden has had it with Robbins' rebellious streak, so instead of keeping him in the high-tech prison, he pulls the ultimate power move and dumps him on the island, where the real nightmare begins. So let's talk about the island. This place is not a vacation destination, it's less tropical paradise and more abandoned war zone where everyone's a serial killer. Robbins quickly learns that the island is divided into two rival factions, the Outsiders and the Insiders. First, we've got the Outsiders, led by Walter Marek, played by Stuart Wilson, who is so good at playing villains you'd think he was born twirling a mustache. These guys are absolute lunatics. Picture a Mad Max gang, but way more into human sacrifice. Their hobbies include raiding, murdering, setting things on fire, and decorating their camp with skulls, because nothing says welcoming community like a pile of human remains. Marek himself is a grade-A psychopath who treats the island like his personal gladiator arena. Then we have the Insiders, led by Father, played by Lance Henriksen. And if Lance Henriksen is in your movie, you know he's either A, a wise mentor, or B, an unstoppable killing machine. In this case, he's option A. Father leads a group of prisoners who actually want to live in peace. They've built their own little village with defenses, agriculture, and a much lower body count than the Outsiders. Basically, they're trying to make the best of a terrible situation. Ernie Hudson is here too. That's right, Winston from Ghostbusters. He plays Hawkins, Father's right-hand man and the guy you want watching your back. Because, let's be real, if he can handle a ghost-infested New York, he can handle a jungle full of murderers. So Robbins wants nothing to do with either faction. He's a lone wolf, I work alone type, and don't talk to me until I've had my coffee kind of guy. But Marek and his goons immediately decide they want him dead, which kind of forces Robbins into an alliance with the Insiders. And by alliance, I mean he single-handedly starts changing the entire power dynamic of the island. And when I say single-handedly, I mean it. This guy takes out enemies with knives, guns, fists, booby traps. Honestly, he's like a prison break MacGyver. The action sequences in this movie do not disappoint. We've got brutal fights, fireballs, and some truly creative kills. If you love that era of 90s action where everything exploded twice as much as it needed to, then No Escape will not let you down. Now, Robbins isn't here to make friends. He's here to get off this island. And he does not have time for democracy. His solution? Blow up everything that stands between him and the water. The last act of this movie is pure chaos, double crosses, explosions, and an all-out war between the insiders and the outsiders. And when Robbins finally gets a shot at escape, let's just say it involves a whole lot of destruction and a daring final showdown. No Escape director Martin Campbell was still a year away from reviving James Bond with GoldenEye, but you can already see hints of his signature action style in this film's explosive shootouts and gritty survival sequences. Shot on Hinchinbrook Island, Australia, the cast had to deal with real-life jungle dangers like venomous snakes, spiders, and crocodiles. Meanwhile, Lance Henriksen, ever the method actor, stayed in character as father even off-set, distancing himself from the other actors to maintain his wise, isolated leader persona. For Ray Liotta, this was a major genre shift. Coming off Goodfellas and Field of Dreams, he wasn't exactly an action hero, but Campbell convinced him by focusing on the film's gritty survival elements. Interestingly, the movie was originally titled The Penal Colony, after the 1987 novel it was loosely based on, but let's be real, that sounds way more like a depressing history documentary than a sci-fi thriller. Speaking of eerie predictions, the movie's dystopian future is set in 2022, and while we don't have corporate-run prison islands yet, the rise of for-profit prisons and extreme surveillance makes it feel uncomfortably close. Though No Escape didn't set the box office on fire, it has since earned a cult following, particularly among 90s action and sci-fi fans who appreciate its practical effects, real stunts, and lack of CGI shortcuts. So, does No Escape hold up? Absolutely. It's got action, suspense, and a stacked cast. It's one of those movies that flew under the radar but totally deserves a second look, especially if you love dystopian sci-fi with a ton of explosions. But now I want to hear from you. Have you seen No Escape? What's your favorite Prison Break movie? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next episode of Rewind. Who knows what crazy movie we'll cover next?
Bye.